Can we welcome Pastor Sarah Hingley? Thank you.
Thanks. So seatbelts on. We're going to jump. So Jonny and I were just chatting, as we do, listen to what the Spirit was telling us. And actually, I'm going to jump to the end today because I want us to respond together, because God is doing stuff in this room. So Andy, Anne and Max, don't go too far because I'm genuinely not going to be that long. But I want us to respond. And what I'd written at the top of my notes when I got to this point was, so what do we do now? So what do we do now? You know, if you've been around or if it's your first time, do jump on YouTube and catch up with us. We've been spending time in Luke 24 because it speaks about us responding to God, responding to Jesus' death and resurrection, looking at all the people around us and what do they do in response to this great act of love. And that is where I want us to land already. Some of you will know that last week I kind of looked at that change in state of Jesus. And I used a bit of a metaphor of water. You know, water changes its state. If it's cold, it will turn to ice. If it gets hot, we end up with that steam. And Jesus, he didn't stay dead. He came back. And how I want us to respond today is for us to think about that water. What is it, if I was to move that metaphor a little bit, what is it that God has said to you this morning? What has he placed in you? If you are a vessel for Jesus, which we all are, it's no surprise to anybody, but if you are that vessel for Jesus, what has he placed in you? What has he placed in you? It could be something that you know you bring to an environment. It could be something that you enjoy doing. It could be that you're able to have conversations with people. It could be that you're able to change an atmosphere, to dictate an atmosphere. Whatever it is, it's not been placed in you for just a coincidence. God has placed it there. And on this table, I got told off last week for giving away my end too early. But actually, I need to give it away early today. But on this table are quite a few receptacles from around my house. And it just got me thinking, if we are being poured into these things, if God is pouring who he is into us as his receptacles, as his vessels, what are we pouring out? Where are we pouring out? Because like we know, any receptacle, and some of you for the bank holiday may have a little walk planned. The weather looks a bit up and down. Go with a hat, go with a coat. But actually, some of you may be filling up water bottles, filling up flasks as you plan your bank holiday tomorrow. I've even got up here, now wait for it. This might be a bit of a long shot. The ice cream sundae dish. But whatever receptacle you are carrying tomorrow, remember that you are carrying a contents in it. We don't walk around with random empty jugs, empty bottles, empty cups. We fill them, we use them. So how are we going to respond? Hopefully, you've all got a cup. Have a little look. Give us a wave if you haven't. There's a few of us, we can get some. So if you're watching at home, you may already have your little cup of tea or cup of coffee at the ready. Hold it in your hands now. No expense spares. These are just our normal water cups that we use around the place. But hold it in your hands. We have to have faith that these cups will firstly hold the contents. They'll hold what we put in them. We have faith that it won't leak. We have faith that it may or may not burn our hands if we put something hot in this one that I'm using today. But when we've got our flasks, for instance, I put faith in that flask every morning that my coffee will still be hot by the time I get to work. But let's think about it in terms of us. What are you carrying? Because we get to carry our faith into our community. Whether that's our workplace, whether that's our home, whether that's our school, our college, whether that is going to the shops and speaking to somebody at the till, we carry our faith. We also get to carry obedience. It's up to us if we pour out. It's up to us whether we just hold it and keep all that stuff for ourselves. But we get to be obedient and get to share. We get to interact with the gospel. This good news that we carry, we get to share it. And we get to respond in faith. Who knows what conversations we will all have this week as we share together. Maybe chance ones, maybe ones that we've been trying to nurture and grow over years and years. And maybe this week is the week where we pour out. Think about what we carry. Whatever we carry because of him. Jesus loved us so much and loves us so much. He has put us exactly where we are needed. And because of him, we are made new. So let us pick up our cups. I'm going to pause us for a couple of moments here. As you're holding this, let us respond and let us ask God that question. God, what is in my cup today? God, where do you want me to carry this cup today and this week? It's going to take a bit of obedience, a bit of bravery for some of us. Maybe we need to jot down what it is that we feel that God is sharing with us. Because whatever receptacle we carry this week, and there'll probably be quite a few, remember what we carry. Remember what we pour out. We carry his love in each of us. We carry the news of who he is. We get to share. And that is our response today. So we pick up the cup. Andy and the guys, do you want to come back? Because I'm going to get us to respond together. Because it's no coincidence that God is speaking to us, talking and thinking about these receptacles, about who we are. And I think for some of us today, we need to respond in these moments. We need to think about the vessel that we are, think about what we carry and where we get to carry it. And then the knock-on is where we pour out. So let us pray. Lord, I thank you that we get to carry who you are. We get to carry your love. We get to carry your kindness. We get to carry the news of your death, your resurrection. As we carry this good news this week, show us who and where we need to pour out the contents. Lay in us and put on our hearts those that we need to be blessing this week with the good news of you. Lay on our hearts right now that meeting, that appointment, that person, and let us respond.
All right, so we're going to work backwards. And then I'm going to ask Pastor Sarah to come and join me, Pastor Sarah Hingley, and to be really specific with you Sarahs in this place. Pastor Sarah Hingley to come and join me. It'll be way more specific. Story of my life.
We planned it, we just hadn't told Sarah.
Story of my life. So we are, as you know, and Andy and the team are going to stay and hang around because we're going to respond. We're going to work through some of this, and then we're going to pray together as a team. But there's some value in this, in that we are, this series, this whole thing, we're in Luke chapter 24. And so for some of us maybe in the room or online who are like, we haven't even opened the Bible. This is outrageous. What are we doing here? We have. The Bible has been open for a really long time. And we've been studying it, and we've been praying about it, and we've been seeking God about it, and we've been doing the hard yards. And we do the hard yards privately so that publicly it moves in a way that you're like, have these people ever even thought about this before? We never stop thinking about this stuff, ever. And so we're in Luke chapter 24, and really specifically from verse 8. I'm going to read verses 8, 9, 10, and 11. They say this: Then the women remembered Jesus' words. They came back from the tomb. They told all these things to the 11 apostles and to the others. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, the mother of James, and the others who were with them told the apostles. But the apostles did not believe the women. Their words didn't make any sense to them. The apostles didn't believe them because their words didn't make any sense to them. Community didn't believe them because of who they were. And so Pastor Sarah and I have spent time thinking about this and talking with each other about this week. And Pastor Sarah has invested huge amounts of her time in bringing this to us. These things don't just fall out of the sky. These things are the result of staying near to Jesus and asking the Spirit of God, what are you saying to us in community? How can we get this into a shape that is going to make sense to people on Maybank holiday? How are they going to carry Luke 24 verses 9, 10 and 11 into a May Day bank holiday in inclement weather? And they've got one day off. And is it going to rain? Is it going to be sunny? I don't know. I'm not sure. What did they talk about yesterday? I don't know. How did I feel? I don't know. I'm going to reach for something, and with an awareness that I carry something. And so I want to just highlight some of that because there's value in that. And it was absolutely right and appropriate that we got to where we got to in the way that we got to there. But Sarah, speak to us about what's important from those verses to you, specifically what has led you to this super helpful application for us. What has been speaking to you from those verses? How has that helped you to help us in understanding Luke 24, 9, 10, 11?
Yeah. I think for me and this journey, and obviously we've got pages of notes and conversations that we've all had this week, and some sneaky ones that I've had with some of you as well. But I was just thinking about, we carry something. And if we carry something, it's got to be normally in something. And this is where this is. And the women, when they go to the garden tomb, they run. They physically run to go and share that. They carry that good news. And if we think about that carrying thought, it could have been bags for life I'd put up here. It could have been black bags. It could have been all the different handbags around my house and rucksacks and everything else. But actually, it wasn't just about us carrying it, but you know what? We've got to pour it out as well. It's very rare that you get the content of your handbag out in public. It's very rare that you're tipping out all of your shopping when you go round and, you've gone to work. You've normally got the things that you need for work, but actually, you've normally got a few things that you need for home as well in there. You're not tipping out the contents. But when we think about it in terms of, receptacle that we drink from, we drink from him, don't we? That is what fills us, what sustains us. But also, all of these will pour out. And that is where we were getting when we were talking about the women. And there's a million different things. And I said to Jonny, I was like, actually, we could go here, there, and everywhere when we look at these women. But fundamentally, they had that in them, and they carried that, beyond the chaos, beyond the unexpected, beyond the unanswered questions. Because one thing that really struck me in preparation as I was reading around that, those 4 verses of text, was the words that it uses when they go to the disciples. It means idle babble is the closest to what the English translation of it would be. But essentially, it's likening the disciples' response to idle babble to something that, and it uses the phrase that somebody that would be insane and how they would talk. That's what they thought they were doing. And I was like, actually, it's better than that.
Right.
It shouldn't have been reacted to and responded to in that way. But actually, it's the good news of Jesus' love, life and resurrection.
Right, thank you. Really good, Sarah. And my awareness, and with this, we're going to get into what we need to do in the last 10 minutes of our gathered moments. Again, as Sarah was kind of sharing with me where she felt the Spirit of God was taking her for us this morning, we were talking about this awareness of the women. That's specifically what this week wants to bring our attention to. And so in Luke 24, 9, 10, and 11, we see the women and Sarah's realizations. And send her an email, because there are layers to this thing that she's excited to talk to you about, that they were in the garden tomb, and there all kind of light bulbs were blowing up in her world as well. And there were all kinds of things happening. There were all kinds of things happening about, actually, these are the first evangelists of the full gospel that we see, are these women who are listed by name. That's super significant and important. They're listed by name, and in wider culture they wouldn't have been trusted, and then within community they weren't understood. But what they did was faithfully pour out what they had been given. Right? So in wider culture where you feel not trusted, and in community where there is temptation to be misunderstood, the call of God on us is to be faithful and obedient. Not just to carry, but to pour out.